Okay, in our previous uh, tutorial, what we did is we created the spandrel panels. I did the first, showed you how to do the first 6 here, and then asked that you complete these off of video. If you haven't done that, please go ahead and do that, okay, before you go to this next step. But the next step, what I want to do is make sure that my curtain wall now is lined up with my structure and with my other metal stud curtain wall. And to do that, I created a section for you, okay? If we go to the first level and zoom out a little bit, you can see that I created a structure, a section line right here. I'm going to click on it for a second. Zoom in and we'll click on it. Well, maybe I'll click on it. There we go. And you can see the symbol, and I've made the symbol this length and so forth. Probably what I'd like to do is flip that out. The convention is usually that the symbol is not inside the building, okay? That the symbol is, the section symbols on the outside of the building. That's usual convention like these others. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just so that you'll know that. And then you'll notice this is the boundary of the section, that even though this is this long, the section is actually wider than the symbol itself that I put into the drawing. And so I'm just going to double click on the symbol here. And when I do, it's going to open that section, okay, which is, you can see right here under section, wall sections. You can see it's right there. And let's look a little closer. I've got it in a shade mode right now, so you can see a couple of things. In the background right here, okay, that's our, as it shows you right there, basic wall exterior brick on metal stud with rigid insulation. And you can see that right there, okay. But here is our glass curtain wall. Excuse me, got a dry throat there for a second. And what we want to do is we want to line this edge of that vertical mullion up with our structure so that we can come back and put a bracket in here and connect the vertical mullions to the structure itself. So what we're going to do is move that over and align that so that it lines up here, 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 and here. And so let's do that. Let's go in, and we're just going to go, we can use the alignment tool. Let's see if that'll work. It want me to save the project. And now the project's saved. So what I wanted to do is line up right here on this edge of my slab, my roof, actually, not my floor slab, but my roof. So I'm going to select that line and then say line this to it, okay? And it didn't move it. Oh yeah, that's right, I remember now why it didn't. So let's go to the first level, because I can't move it by the edge here. I got to unlock it. So I'm going to go back to my level right here, and let's look at that same condition here in plan. And I'll point some things out to you. Let's shade it just for a second because it's a little bit easier to see. So there's my brick veneer, okay? There's my 10-inch by 2.5-inch vertical mullion. There's my metal stud right here, and then my sheathing and my building insulation. And what I want to do is move this edge to right there, okay, so that they're lined up, okay. And then it once again, it all depends on how you're going to detail this out. But right now, that's what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. So to move this curtain wall, as I was talking about, okay, we're going to select this center line. Now I'm going to show you something, because it's a problem and it took me an hour to figure out how to release it, so or how to make it so I could change it. Let's say if I just select, this is called the location line of, it's the center line, but it's what is called the location line of the curtain wall. And if I go to move this curtain wall, let's move it, okay, from here to here. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to get this error statement. It's going to say remove constraints. In other words, what it did is this wall, when I put it between these other two walls, it constrained it to that location. And that's not where I want it anymore. Okay, so what it did, it moved the walls along with that, and that's not what I want. If I remove constraints, okay, it leaves the everything where it was previously moved. So that's not what I want at all. So I'm going to just do an undo, okay, and move everything back so that my column is centered. And so now let's select this again, and you're going to see these two little blue dots, the infamous blue dots. And what we have to do is select that so that it brightens up like that, and then right click, and then right here it says disallow join, okay? And that turns the join off between the curtain wall and this steel stud curtain wall. But you got to do it at both ends now. Okay, so I'm going to zoom back down. I'm going to go all the way down here to the other end, and I'm going to select it, and I'm going to right click, and I'm going to disallow join there. Okay, if I don't do both ends, just one end is going to move. Now with that unjoined, okay, I can go into move. I can select it. Okay, select the curtain wall line, location line, and then I can go move, and I can use the edge right here, and I want to move this edge of the mullion to the inside edge of the column there, and boom, it moves it. Notice it didn't move anything else. It just allowed me to move that curtain wall, and so now that curtain wall is lined up the way it's supposed to be. Now when you've disjoined it, I'm going to show you something. If I click this, notice this little T thing right here. This that's the disjoined symbol. So that means that this wall's been unjoined from any other walls. And if I want to join it back to this wall, all I have to do is click on this and do that. But for right now, I'm going to just leave it like it is. And so that's been corrected. I'm going to go back into my section now, and notice now my curtain wall right here, okay, is lined up with my roof, okay, so that I can put a bracket in here and get it all squared away. As far as connecting it, I can put another bracket in here on all of the vertical mullions and connect it to the structure and to the wall here. I could put a bracket from this girder out there to it. So now it's close, and it's cleaned up a little bit as far as its location in relationship to the column and the structure. Okay, and that's what I want you to do. I'm going to take this off a shade so you can see the hidden line, and it's going to, once it's saved, if I want to see this a little better, I can go in and do the thick lines, okay, and you can see now my curtain wall is lined up with the edges of my floors and my roof up there, which is what I want. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do to kind of correct some of this is, now that I've got this aligned, I'm going to go back to my first level here, and notice I've got these the thick lines on. These are proportional. They're not exactly the thickness that the lines are going to be when they plot, but they're showing you that different lines are going to be plotted at different widths, okay? And those are all defined within the family, and you can do overrides and all that kind of stuff, but this is not that course. So what I want to do, though, I'm going to come back in and turn them off again. So I'm going to just go up here, and the quick button is right there. And the next thing I want to do is that here's my brick veneer, and it's not wrapping, okay? Actually, if I did this, I'd want that brick to wrap right here so that this connected to that brick. And so what I'm going to do is select, once again, my wall here, and I'm going to go back into the editing my wall. And let's go into wrapping at ends right here. Wrapping at inserts, and inserts are like windows and doors. If you insert it, is it going to wrap at that point? And it says just wrap the exterior finish, okay? And you have you'll notice you'll have wrap the exterior, wrap the interior. And what we want to do is wrap that brick. So we're going to say wrap the exterior. Okay. I'm going to apply this and say okay. Okay. And what I want you to notice is that it redesigned the wall. Now everything is wrapped. My space is there in my brick. And if I go into 3D, okay, if I go back to my 3D view here, notice now, well, yeah, if I go into detail, yeah, you'll notice my brick is now wrapped around, okay, and that's what I want. That's the now, since this is the same wall as this wall, it should have corrected. I'm going to select this and flip it around, okay, and let's zoom back in, and sure enough, yes, it did that here too. We can see that also in my first level. If I zoom out and I go down here, and you can see where the brick, even over here, okay. Now, we haven't fixed this curtain wall yet, but we're not going to cut our section through it. We're going to use this section right here to cut it. So, don't worry about that. Not a big deal. So now I've kind of got this ready to go. I'm ready to set up my views and set up my sheet. And so that's what we're going to do in the next video, is set up a sheet and then pull in our views in the video after that.